Corgan's got a bald head too, so.
Okay, we now have our exclusive interview with Billy Corgan of the Smashing Pumpkins, who just won the Best Hard Rock Grammy for The End is the Beginning is the End, which is awesome. The Pumpkins won the same category last year for Bullet with Butterfly Wings. Since then, Corgan's been working on several new things, including a new Pumpkins album called Adore, which is due this spring, and he's been collaborating on some tracks for the new Hole album, which is due around the same time. He's also been advising Marilyn Manson in what Manson calls a friendly, unofficial capacity on the next Manson album. We discussed all of this, plus other topics, with Corgan recently, starting with the upcoming Pumpkins album.
When people ask what this album was like, I mean, I use the word arcane because I think that seems to sum up the music best. It's kind of like music from the past, but done in a futuristic way. And I think that there's natural elements on the album and there's synthetic elements on the album. And they're kind of, it's like taking all the textures of all past music and trying to apply it to a kind of a new song form. And it's all just, it's very songy, you know, there's not a lot of guitar, I think there's one guitar solo, I mean, that lasts 4 seconds, you know, it's like, I think people are going to be surprised by the kind of reversal in a lot of ways, but the people that say it's acoustic will be wrong, the people that say it's electronic will be wrong, the people that say it sounds like a Pumpkins record will be wrong. I've tried to make something that is indescribable, besides the fact that Courtney and I have been friends for years, you know, and I knew personally that they were having a hard time. So I kind of came up with the notion of, well, why don't you just give me a month with them and let me just see if I can kind of kick them in the ass, so to speak, and just kind of get the whole record going. Instead of the band kind of waiting around for Courtney to decide that she wanted to make another album, you kind of get the band's juices going. So that's what happened. I got together and, you know, just wrote a bunch of songs with them and helped them with their songs. And, you know, that was all very simple. That's kind of how it started off, you know. We talked about different scenarios about me. The term at the time was executive producer, which was just like I was going to be the eye in the sky. I was never supposed to produce on a day-to-day level because that would have meant that I couldn't have done this record. And then I suggested that the material was so strong that they get a real producer, someone who I know could bring the album to its full fruition. And that's it. Everything else that's been added to it's just drama stuff. But it's as simple as that. People took the whole early 90s thing as this kind of negative brat, you know, throwing a tantrum, but what it was an energy that say, I can't take this the way that it is, that kind of rebellion against suburban America. You know, I think that's why Manson's such an important artist right now, because he represents, in essence, the next generation, which is even more disenchanted and even more disconnected. But what people miss about Manson is he's just reflecting. He's an artist. People want to focus that energy on him, but it's not really about him, it's really about you. You know, so for every guy sitting there with a beer, you know, and a 45 in his belt, you know, Manson's speaking to that end of society. He's speaking as an artist. He's not speaking as himself, and that's where people get really lost with Manson. The three of us, me, Courtney, and Manson, have all dealt with similar energies, pushing people's buttons to the point where they can't, they focus their hate and their energy on you. But where do you think that energy comes from? That's from a self-loathing, because I've changed, Courtney's changed, and one day Manson will change if he's not changing already. After a while, you get kind of tired of what I would call, you know, like a white rock mentality. You know, it's like it's too cerebral. You know, everyone's sitting around with their calculators kind of figuring out, you know, the way the kids are going to rock. You know, after the kind of the grunge explosion in the early 90s, which was about immediacy, then everybody all of a sudden got very serious, and things got very serious, the money got bigger, and all that kind of like danger went out of it. So everything in white rock slows down, and then here comes everybody else kind of blowing by us, and we can't understand what's happening. That's what I think is so great about, like, even there's the whole new movement within hip-hop, you know, the Wu-Tang and Missy Elliott. It's brilliant, it's great. The energy there is so great, and people may not see this, but when I watch Missy Elliott, it's the same thing as when I watched Soundgarden for the first time. I get that same excitement, and you feel like somebody's doing something that's so new. You know, maybe to some people it sounds like the same old thing, but to me it sounds so fresh. And I want to stay there. I want to be there all the time. I want that feeling all the time. So I had to go through my little mourning period to let it go. And now I've let it go. You know, my band has let it go, and we're ready to move on, you know, into whatever we're going to be. So, you know, we apologize if anybody doesn't like it, but, you know, c'est la vie.
Twilight fades through blistered Avalon.
The latest word is that the new Smashing Pumpkins album will be out in late May and the whole album in June, but there's no word yet on the next Marilyn Manson album.
Right now, we're going to check back at Radio